Coming up on Network Africa, Burundi threatens to quit the UN Human Rights Commission over allegations of crimes against humanity. Britain freezes all fundings to Zambia following allegations of fraud and corruption. And South African President Cyril Ramaphosa reads the Riot Act to ANC dissidents. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shaboeli. Burundi is threatening to withdraw from the UN Human Rights Council and sue its critics. A UN Commission of Inquiry set up in 2016 published a detailed report that said the government and its supporters were responsible for crimes against humanity. The Central African state has refused to cooperate with three commissioners. Burundian Ambassador Renovat Tabu told the council that the report was full of lies and politically motivated. The three commissioners have rejected Burundi's complaints, saying they were immune from legal action and Burundi's withdrawal from the council would achieve little. Let's get more on this story now from a human rights lawyer, Barrister Collins Okeke. Thanks for joining us on the program. What do you make of Burundi's threat to withdraw from the UN Human Rights Council and sue its critics?
Well, I think it's actually very alarming and very worrying. But I think the problem with the United Nations Human Rights Council actually goes beyond what is happening in Burundi. I think that there are a lot of structural issues with the United Nations Human Rights Council that what is happening in Burundi now actually brings out. And I think some of the issues have been around composition, and then the way the United Nations Human Rights Council has considered some of the human rights complaints that have been brought before them. So for me, it's not just about Burundi, but I think it's more about grievances from states as to how the United Nations Human Rights Council operates.
Yeah, so like you said, this isn't the first time. The United States alleged also pulled out of the commission after calling it a cesspool of political bias. Now Burundi, is it possible that some reforms are indeed needed within the UNHCR?
Yeah, I think there is need for reforms. For me, I am more concerned about how the United Nations Human Rights Council goes about addressing human rights issues. I think that a number of changes needs to be done in terms of how it goes about its hearing of human rights complaints. The present arrangement makes it look more like a diplomatic session where members just basically pat each other at the back and without any serious interrogation into some of the reports that come in from the people that they give mandates to go to countries to investigate. I also understand. I also know that the U.S. has complained about the lopsided composition of the United Nations Human Rights Council, which for me is also another factor that may be responsible for some states not willing to be part of what is happening at the council.
So what about these accusations against the government and supporters of human rights abuses? How can we get legal, justice for the people?
For me, that's actually my concern as well. That with what is happening at the moment, there's a likelihood that most of the victims may not be able to get justice. But I am hoping that with the United Nations General Assembly that is coming up in October, that some of these issues will be addressed, especially in view of the fact that new members are going to be appointed into the council. So I'm hoping that the UN General Assembly will be able to use the opportunity of the October meeting to try to attend to some of these issues that is now beginning to kind of affect the credibility of the council.
Human rights lawyer, Barrister Collins Okeke, thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
The British government has frozen all funding to Zambia, citing alleged fraud and corruption. According to the financial news site Bloomberg, the UK is historically Zambia's biggest donor. According to reports, Finland, Sweden, Ireland and UNICEF have also frozen aid to Zambia because of alleged corruption and have privately asked for funds to be returned. The Zambian government is yet to respond to the development. In Burkina Faso, citizens are marking 3 years since a failed coup attempt led by allies of the post-Blaise Compaoré killed many in 2015. Fed up with 27 years of Compaoré's rule, protesters forced him out of office and into exile. His supporters tried to take power back from the transitional government put in place to replace him. Over 300 victims are claiming damages in the trial, and many say they are still waiting for justice.
Tiga Sawadogo, a Burkina Bay journalist, rides his motorcycle on Ouagadougou Street, Burkina Faso. The street that brings back memories of a protest that held after a failed coup attempt in 2015, a day that changed the country forever. Protesters that took to these streets were angered by President Blaise Compaoré's attempt to change the constitution to extend his 27-year rule. And this forced him to flee the West African nation. Troops from the elite presidential security regiment under General Gilbert Diendéré took these protesters and members of the transitional government hostage. The week-long power grab failed, but 14 people were killed and more than 250 others were wounded as they attempted to resist.
We were riding our bikes when we saw two children playing. They were playing with car tires, not knowing what was going on nearby in town. Maybe they were not aware of what was happening, but we could hear the sounds of gunshots coming. Suddenly, one of the children fell to the ground in front of us. We continued to ride our bikes, but decided to go back. When we came back, we saw blood gushing out of his head. He was dead.
Burkina Faso marked the 3rd anniversary of the coup. As a journalist working for an online newspaper, Sawadogo vowed to honor the memory of the teenager by telling his story. He also regularly visited the victim's mother, Noeli Kafando.
It's been going on for too long and everything is ruined. What else can we say? We will let God handle it.
The alleged coup leaders are currently on trial, but Kafando says she is disappointed that the process has been slow.
I sometimes follow the debate. I see the lawyers and the accused passing by, and everyone talks about their families. Naturally, it takes me back to that child and how he would be a teenager right now, and he would still be in school. So, seeing these people on trial brings back memories that we wish we could erase.
In total, 84 people are charged with crimes related to the failed coup, and over 300 victims are claiming damages in the trial.